Initiating virtual tour.
And we are live!
Actually, this is pre-recorded.
Hello there! You made it! Welcome to the virtual tour of the University of the Philippines, Cebu. I'm Annie, and I am a proud alumna of UP Cebu. And between just you and me, I had the best 4 years here in UP Cebu. I came from the College of Communication, Arts and Design, where we did not learn only the basics in journalism and other communication components, but they also taught us how to become relevant.
You only have one viewer.
My college is also home to the fabrication laboratory, where people meet and converge to use different equipment where they can fabricate things, stuff for the advancement of industrial and product design. All of this comes from the creativity of the Fine Arts program itself. Hey Sean, why don't you tell them more about the Fine Arts program?
The Fine Arts program itself, founded in 1975, is the pioneer formal school in the fine arts outside the national capital. The college is also the host to nearly half a century-old annual painting competition, Jose Joya Awards, in honor of the famous national artist Jose Joya, and from whom UP Cebu's Jose Joya Gallery was named after.
As the campus of the premier university here in the Visayas, we have to be good. No, we have to be better, or even we have to be the best, not only in the humanities, but even in the sciences as well. Isn't that right, Sean?
That's right, Annie. In 2014, UP Cebu CENVI, or the Central Visayas Center for Environmental Informatics, came up with high-resolution maps using LiDAR technology. The use of this technology by UP Cebu CENVI provided government agencies with accurate data for more precise community flood risk assessment and management. This helped local government units make informed decisions based on data science and, in the process, maximizing their financial resource utilization. And in the case of the Naga Cebu landslide of 2018, UP Cebu CENVI's use of LiDAR technology allowed for one of the fastest search and retrieval operations in a disaster in the Visayas.
Helping the community through the sciences is very fulfilling. But we were not just exposed to that. We were also exposed to the social sciences, from political science to psychology, and all of these concepts helped shape our mindsets to become better citizens. In fact,
the College of Social Sciences articulates and addresses global challenges. The college offers comprehensive and appealing programs for high school, undergraduate, and graduate students. The Master of Education program is a non-thesis graduate program designed for graduates of the Bachelor of Elementary Education or Bachelor of Secondary Education who want to pursue their professional preparation through future studies in areas relevant to teacher education.
And of course, there were also budding business leaders in campus. They were the ones who had the nose for business but had the big heart to be of service.
Under the School of Management, students are not only taught to be decision makers, but the forerunners in marketing and finance. It also hones those interested in further studies of this field through its Master's in Business Administration program.
Today, I am now a practicing broadcast journalist, an opinion columnist, an entrepreneur, a teacher, a better person, really. All of this because of my training and experience at UP Cebu.
Nurtured to create, inspired to innovate, destined to serve. We at the University of the Philippines Cebu are driven by academic and operational excellence.
And that's it. Thank you so much for joining this virtual tour. I'm so happy you took part. Oh, look, Sean, a lot of people are tuning in.
But the tour is over.
Well, we'll just do it again.
Ready when you are, Annie.
Reinitiate virtual tour.
Okay, good afternoon po sa ating lahat, especially sa ating mga attendees today. Good afternoon sa ating lahat. I'm hosting here from Los Baños. So for those who are coming from UP Los Baños over there, we might see each other or bump each other one of these days over there at the campus. Welcome to another Wednesday of Learning with UP Cebu's TLRC webinar series. Today, we'll be following up with the last week's Inferences on Likert data part 1, so we will have part 2 today. These webinars and the future offerings of TLRC are supported and prepared by our lovely volunteers coming from the different colleges of UP Cebu. For the Likert series, we have the Guapos coming from the Mathematics Department of the College of Sciences. We hope that you will learn something new from our little offering from the island of Cebu. So hopefully next time when you visit Cebu, come visit us at UP Cebu. Now, we will be taking a look at one of the most useful tool and method in academic research, the Likert scale. And whether you are a budding student researcher or a seasoned teacher, this series will likely make you Likert research more. Before the webinar proper, I would like to invite you to listen to Miss Noel for our webinar etiquettes, and of course to our beloved TLRC coordinator, Miss Nati, for the introduction of the speaker. Noel, please take the stage.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jera, and good afternoon to everyone. So before we proceed with the webinar proper, let me share some webinar reminders. So this webinar is recorded. We will be keeping tab of the proceedings for this webinar for documentation purposes. You're free to leave if you feel uncomfortable that the session will be recorded. And please mute your microphone during the talk. We want to make sure that the speaker's voice is clear to everyone. We may opt to remove you if you don't follow this request. Also, refrain from taking pictures or videos of the talk. If you do so, you will be held accountable of data privacy violations if the copy you created leaks into other internet outlets. We wish to keep the identity of our participants private, so as yours as well. And please avoid using the annotation tool. Once the annotation tool is activated, you might unconsciously swerve your arrow towards the speaker's presentation and draw unnecessary lines that may block the participant's view. This may also cause distraction to the participants and to the speaker. If you have questions while the talk is ongoing, you may put them in the Q&A box. After the talk, you will have a chance to ask your questions. We wish for you to only use the Q&A box rather than voice because of our time constraint. And please don't forget to evaluate. Your inputs on the webinar will help us improve our next webinars. After you have answered the forms, you will be given a proof of participation. The evaluation link will be opened right after the webinar and shall remain open for only 10 minutes. And our webinar is currently live streaming on our YouTube channel, the LRC UP Cebu. For those watching through YouTube and are registered, you will get your proof of participation by staying until the end of the session. So we will be announcing the instructions at the live chat, so please stay tuned. And to be more updated on our future webinars and trainings, please follow and contact us on these platforms. For our Facebook page, we have our Teaching and Learning Resource Center, University of the Philippines, Cebu. You may also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can watch our previous webinars, TELRC UP Cebu, or you may visit our website, telrcupcebu.edu.ph, or for your concerns, you may directly contact or email us through lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph. Thank you very much. Back to you, Ms. Jera.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Noel. So before anything else also, we would like to say hi to our attendees. We have a lot of attendees right now coming from the different parts of the Philippines. We have coming from Visayas State University. Hello po there. Good afternoon rin from Cavite State University, Trece Martires City Campus, and from the Women's College, Philippine Women's College of Davao. And also those coming from Napandan, Pangasinan, malapit lang po tayo. Hi, Michael. So Michael is also here with us, our former assistant also from the UP Cebu TLRC. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon there from Bulacan and from Davao, and of course from Camarines Sur, Partida State University, and from Zamboanga del Sur, Mindanao, Philippines. And also, we have watchers or attendees coming from the UPOU. UPOU is one of the largest open university that we have here in the Philippines, and they offer free educational services. We also have participants from CTU. So hello there, Cebu, and CNU Maine. Those coming from Nueva Vizcaya, from Zambales and Butuan City. And good afternoon rin po sa Migrant Workers Department there. And LSPU San Pablo City, malapit lang po tayo. Caraga State University, and those coming from Metro Manila. We also have participants from General Santos City and DepEd Dasmariñas, as well as coming from Zambales and Quezon City. And Noel, we also have those coming from University of Santo Tomas. My little babe is over there also teaching. Thank you so much for being with us. Our international viewers also coming from Saudi Arabia and London, and also those coming from Singapore. Thank you so much. And let's go back to our webinar proper. I would like to call Miss Nati. Miss Nati for our introduction of speaker.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, Ms. Jera. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so a pleasant afternoon to all the participants in this last session of the webinar series on Likert data. Our speaker for this afternoon is none other than Professor Jack Bon Isaac Aboy. Sir Jack currently serves as an assistant professor of statistics in the Mathematics and Statistics programs of the University of the Philippines Cebu College of Science. He is also serving as a committee member of the Young Statisticians of the International Statistical Institute. He earned his Bachelor of Secondary Education in Mathematics from Leyte Normal University and his Master of Science Statistics from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. His research focuses on portfolio investments and analysis of economic data through econometric models. His talk this afternoon is a continuation of what has been discussed last Wednesday's webinar by Sir Joseph on inferences of Likert data. He will discuss on simple statistics methodologies used in determining whether two or more groups of Likert data come from the same distribution. So now, dear participants, please join me in welcoming Sir Jack Aboy. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon,
Sir Jack.
Mr. Jack.
Hello. Can you hear me clearly? Can you see Is my camera working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon to all the participants who spared some time to attend our webinar series. So this is a three-part series about analysis of Likert data. So I am really glad that you spared some time to attend. And then I cannot believe the reach of our of our series. So it has gone international and all over the Philippines. So it makes me a bit nervous here. Okay, so first, before I proceed with the talk proper, I want to gauge first regarding that's a background, a bit of a background of our respondents. So I want everyone to go to menti.com. So kindly go to menti.com and use the code, that one, 7863-6063, www.menti.com, and use the code, those set of numbers. So kindly type in your current job position, and if you are a student, just put student. Okay, we're now getting responses. Teacher, student, instructor, data engineer. A lot of students here. Ma'am Jera.
That's nice. So
Right?
there's a lot of students actually. I heard that a lot of students were looking into research and statistical methods right now because it is not just required in college, but also now required in senior high. So what we are doing right now is very, very useful for them.
Good to know. So it's also important that hopefully the teachers who are attending right now will integrate whatever they have learned in their research subjects, if ever they are offering one. Because I am aware that some high school teachers are teaching research courses. So
Yes.
hopefully I'll give valuable insights, especially because Likert is very popular.
Yes. And
Okay,
it's
so
one of the easiest, not easiest, but generally one of the things that students can try when they start researches.
they start because it's really intuitive, no, and it's really not that difficult to understand Likert data. So yeah, wow, a lot of students, teachers. We have pharmacists, we have statisticians, research assistants. So our our respondent is our respondents our participants is diverse in terms of their current job position, but majority we see that they are students, so which is a good news to me. Okay, so next question: where do you most apply analysis of Likert data? So I put there I put there how many options? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options. So we have consumer behavior or consumer satisfaction. We have for educational research, social science research, psychology research, and others. I just put others, those applications that I do not have experience with yet regarding Likert data.
There's a
But
lot
ako personal,
doing educational
there's
research right now.
yeah, wow. Ako, Ma'am Jera, personally, my consultations were mostly in educational research talaga. And a
I
few in social science.
I think the trend comes from the idea that there are a lot of new educational policies coming in right after the
Okay.
COVID pandemic. So there's a lot of things that needs to be done and needs to be researched more, especially about cloud education. So a lot of us
Wow.
right now are doing cloud education, doing modules, getting certificates, not by physical attending class physically, but attending class online. So I think that's maybe one of the most important part there, to have educational
Um,
research.
Thank you for sharing with us that one, Ma'am Jen. Ako, yeah, okay, from experience, really, most of my consultations that involves like Curtis from the education field. So it really shows here, no, in our from our participants na most of them are into educational research where they apply Likert data. And I am actually quite curious about the 15 others. So for those who answered others, kindly type in what research are you doing where you apply Likert data. You can share that in the chat room so that everyone may know as well. Because I'm really, really curious as to where you apply Likert data and what other researches do you apply Likert data. So for those who answered others, this 15 participants, kindly please put your research field perhaps in the chat room so that we may know.
There are
Political
doing patient satisfaction and outpatient pharmacy. That's nice.
okay.
It's really
That's
interesting.
nice.
And
I,
project implementation feedbacks.
I still do not have an experience with that research. Hopefully, some of you will collaborate with me
Yes.
anyway,
It's really
because
interesting.
I really want to build experience in other fields as well, not only in
Some
my
of the others mostly said it's about pharmacy and medicine. So there are
pharmacy.
clinical trials.
Oh,
Ooh.
okay.
So I think that's few of the fields that it would be interesting for you to try next time, sir.
Yeah. And this could be a good research on its own, no? Kaning application of Likert data. So it could be a qualitative research. But anyway, that's already beyond that. It just came into
Yes.
my mind. Forensic science, Ma'am Jera. Someone answered forensic science.
It's
Wow.
true. It's true. Sometimes this is
Oh.
used for forensic science, especially for triangulation. I heard from my
Oh.
friends coming from the medical field also that they are somehow doing researches in Likert data for forensic science as well.
Amazing. So I hope that I will see some of those researches, soon where you applied Likert data. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in our mentee survey. So I already have a grasp of what you are into and what you actually do in currently. Okay, so we will now proceed with our presentation proper. And by the way, thank you, Dr. Esteliori, for giving me a very generous welcome. So that's so kind of you. Okay, do you see my slides?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So hello again. My name is Jack. Okay, so you can just call me Sir Jack or Sir Aboy. So most of my students call me Sir Jack. Don't call me Sir Isaac, even though there's Isaac in my name. I cannot live up to the name of Sir Isaac Newton. Okay. So I'm from UP Cebu and I'm a current assistant professor of statistics. So I am teaching statistics courses, obviously, in our BS statistics program. So we are offering actually BS statistics in UP Cebu. So I teach some of the courses there. Okay, so some preliminaries first. Now we have learned from the previous sessions that Likert data is ordinal and should be treated as such. This is really, dare I say, the highlight of this webinar series, that we want to really emphasize that Likert data is ordinal. And you should use analysis meant for ordinal to Likert. So you cannot use those statistical methodologies meant for continuous variables to Likert data because it's just not appropriate. So analysis for ordinal data applies to Likert data in general. So I'm not saying here that all types of methodologies applied to ordinal data can be applied in Likert data, but most of the statistical methodologies that we do in the ordinal data can be applied to Likert data. No, so again, you should not use those tests or any form of inferences meant for continuous to Likert data. Descriptive measures such as the arithmetic mean and standard deviation cannot be interpreted for Likert data, no matter how large the sample size is. So of course you can, be my guest. You can still get the mean, whatever weighted mean, if you treat an ordinal data as a number, as a real number, but it cannot be interpreted. There is a modeling that we do in statistics called factor analysis, where we can actually model ordinal data like Likert. So into one model, so we establish their cause and effect relationship. An intermediate step there is actually getting the mean. But it's just an intermediate step. It shouldn't be interpreted. So you might say that, no, in factor analysis, we get the mean. So how come you are saying that? No, it's just an intermediate step. It cannot be interpreted though. But anyway, so that's what we're trying to point out here. No? Pearson's R cannot be used either, since Likert data is not interval nor range level. So Sir Joseph, last webinar, really emphasized that, this one, he emphasized this particular aspect of analyzing correlation between two Likert variables. So you cannot use Pearson's R because one of the assumptions there before you use Pearson's R is that at least interval ang level sa variable. Interval or higher ratio. So it must be continuous, and Likert data is not continuous. So we use a Spearman's rule or Kendall's tau instead. And this correlation measure in particular also assumes normality ang Pearson's R correlation. So actually, if you are doing a research na correlational analysis, you should not perform correlation right away. You have to test for normality. So there are the most common test for normality is the Shapiro-Wilk test of normality, and some uses Harkibera. So it's one of the diagnostic tests that you must do before you perform correlation. So just a piece of advice. Okay, Likert data is inherently non-normal, and from 3 inferences about the mean is not plausible. Now, this is really what we're coming sa statistics faculty, the 4 of us, we really have a consensus na Likert is inherently non-normal because it is ordinal. No, so this is a collective na hypothesis that we all agree. And of course, if you have a hypothesis as a scientist, you must perform an experiment, right? So that's what you do in biology. You have an educated guess, and you want to confirm if your guess is true or not. So you test that out. So we also do that in statistics through simulation. So this is just a very naive simulation that I did. But I just want to show you that our the one that we are claiming is really true, that Likert data is not normally distributed. So we illustrate through a Monte Carlo simulation that this one is true, and we will use the very popular test for normality. And I made the simulation scenarios as follows. So I chose 4, 5, 7 Likert point systems, and in varying sample sizes. Again, this for those who are very knowledgeable in simulations. So this is a very naive lang. This is not a comprehensive simulation, but this is one of the scenarios that we can do. And probabilities for Monte Carlo draws are chosen so that frequency of the Likert responses is symmetric and bell-shaped. Because again, some people are arguing that if you increase the sample size, Likert data is normally distributed, and we are so confused. Why are you arguing that? But anyway, so probabilities were chosen so that it somehow mimics the symmetricity and the bell-shaped curve. Anyway, so this is the result. This is the result. In varying points and in varying sample sizes, it really rejects the null hypothesis for normality, and it is rejected at alpha equals 0.0 for all scenarios. So even the even the extreme scenario, if you have a 7-point Likert system in your questionnaire and you have 500 sample points, for example, you interviewed 500 respondents, tapos you have a 7-point Likert in your questionnaire, so it's still not normally distributed according to Shapiro-Wilk test. So for us, it is really futile to check normality. So you can already remove test for normality in your diagnosis, sorry, in one of your diagnostic tests, if you're checking, if you're using Likert data. And inferences about the mean is not plausible, especially if tests assume normality. Never. So this is one of the highlights of my talk today. Do not perform, okay? Never perform t-test or z-test if data is Likert, because these tests assume normality in the distribution. So even if your variable is continuous, and if you will check through Shapiro-Wilk test of normality that it is not normally distributed, so do not perform t-test. I'm sorry to say, but I have seen even here in UP Cebu, some researchers using t-test, even normality was not checked. Okay, so hopefully by this webinar, this is one of those ways where we really educate as many people as possible that you should not do t-test or z-test right away. You have to check normality first, because it's one of the key assumptions of t-test. And even if in t-test, there are two types of t-test. T-test for equal variance and t-test for unequal variance. So if the data set is normally distributed, you should also check if the variance is equal or not. So there are available ng mga tests for equal variance, like Levene's test or Bartlett's test, or even ang F-test. So you need to do that as well. So it's not really as simple as doing t-test right away. Okay, so there is a process that you need to go through, because I want all the participants here to know that you do not use a statistical methodology just because it is popular. You use a particular statistical methodology because it is appropriate from your objectives and from the nature of your data set. Okay, I hope that is clear with everyone. Dili, sa Bisaya pa, ay pagpatakag t-test. Tungod kay na ay research yung naggamit ng t-test, mag-t-test na po. Diba? So, no. So there is a process that you really go through. And we should not take this lightly. Okay? Now, I want everyone to think about the questions that I will ask in this slide. So what do we get really from testing a sample if it is equal to a hypothesized median? Okay, we posit that in Likert analysis, we can no longer draw inferences about the mean. So instead, we draw inferences about the median, although it was emphasized by Sir Agustin from the first session that it can get hard to, or it can be difficult to interpret the median in a Likert data. But it still makes sense to some extent. Or in other words, we can still get the median from a Likert data. But it can be difficult to interpret the median. But in inferences, so we use the median. No? We draw inferences about the median from a Likert data set. And also, what do we get from testing if two samples have the same median or the same distribution? No? And what do we get from testing if 3 or more samples of the same distribution? And what are its implications in research that makes use of Likert data? Ako, my wisdom is still limited in Likert analysis because, again, in my experience, it's really mostly in educational research. I still do not have any experience in, let's say, in the psychology research. I know that Likert is very popular there. They really use it most of the time. But yeah, most of my experience is in educational research. And really, one of the main goals here is imagine if you have two groups, you know, you have two groups and you have a, let's say, political issue, and you want to ask if they agree on that political matter, and you have two groups that you want to investigate. So by doing this, by doing the tests that I will teach you, it will actually answer the question, are these groups, do these groups have the same opinion? No? Do these groups differ in that political, for example, on that political matter? So those are some of the questions that the tests that I will teach you may be able to answer. So diba in Likert, we use Likert to get or to grasp the or to invoke in emotions, or to get the perception of your respondents on an issue. At least sa social science research or in educational research, that's what they do. They want to they really want to invoke that emotion. So what we are trying to do here is, are the emotions the same from two or more groups? Diba? Isn't it profound? For me, it really is profound. And it's a good thing that statistics can measure that. Of course, there is a degree to subjectivity in what I'm trying to say is, we cannot really measure emotions, no, but this is one way of doing that. So in your research, I want you to ponder at the end of this session these questions. I want you to ponder about these questions. Okay, so here are the main objectives. So we test if a Likert variable is equal to a specified population median, because again, we test about the median, we do not test about the mean. So this will be the counterpart of testing if a normally distributed random sample is equal to a specified population mean. Because again, if you have variables that are continuous, we actually draw inferences about the mean. And we will test whether two groups of Likert variables are derived from the same population, and we test whether two groups of Likert variables have equal medians. So these are the main objectives of the talk. Now, I just want to set assumptions now, because the point of my talk today is in the testing part already. So I will know. Sampling is no longer a part of this talk. Sampling, tests of normality, etc. Everything that goes through before testing is no longer part of the talk. So it could be a separate talk siguro that can be arranged by TLRC. But yeah, just to set assumptions, before we do the tests, before we do the hands-on, it is already assumed that the items have been analyzed for internal consistency and reliability. So okay na on that part. And then respondents, this is very important, everyone. This is very important. Respondents must be randomly selected, and each response are independent with each other. So there are a lot of researchers who are doing hypothesis testing, even though their samples are not random. You should never do that. It is morally and ethically wrong. It's just flawed in so many levels. So you do not perform any hypothesis tests at all if your sample is not randomly selected. So I hope that before you gather your data, you should have chosen an appropriate sampling methodology first. And that goes with really consulting with a statistician. A sample size is also contingent with the size of the sample population. Okay, so first test that I will discuss is what we call the one sample sign test. So the one sample sign test checks whether or not there is a significant difference between our hypothesized median and the real median of a sample. So si researcher, meron siyang hina-hypothesize na median na, ay, feeling ko ano talaga, yung median response ng mga respondents is agree. So hina-hypothesize niya. Now, we test if that hypothesis is true using a one sample sign test. And the sign test is a good general non-parametric test which makes very few assumptions or requirements, but it has limited power because a sign test has been developed for a long time ago. So we expect na there is a very limited statistical power when it comes to sign tests, but I just want to introduce this still in this talk. Now, it can be used to test that kind of data which is of ordered categorical type. So Likert data falls in this category, ordered and categorical. The sign test is usually used in the kind of data where it is possible to rank the observations, and we can rank Likert observations, right? So the null hypothesis is that the median of the sample equals the hypothesized median of the population. So meaning rejecting the null hypothesis means the sample median is different from either larger or smaller than the hypothesized population median. Okay, so let us have an example right away. So suppose we have a set of 96 randomly selected students, and they were asked whether exams are being leaked to their classmates or friends during online classes. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Lobo from the Far Eastern University for lending me the data. So this is their research in FEU, and I was their consultant. So the researchers used a 5-point Likert system, and they want to test, for example, if the median is 3 or frequently. Okay, so I will stop sharing. I will now illustrate or show the data set. Okay, so this is the data set. So 96 randomly selected students were part of their research. So it's a 5-point Likert na questionnaire, and these are the sorry, so ang 3 pala is occasionally. My bad. 3 means occasionally. What did I put in my slides? Frequently. So it's not frequently, it's occasionally. Do they mean the same? Okay, so these are the responses. And then the software that I'll be using all throughout this talk is Microsoft Excel. And I will be using a very good tool, very good extension called QI Macros 2023. So the QI Macros 2023 has these statistical tools that you can use. Look, it really is complete. From data visualizations to descriptive statistics to hypothesis testing. So in particular, for my talk, I'll be using these tests over here. So here is the one sample sign test. Okay, so this is the QI macros, and the tests are here below. Hi, Ma'am Jera, do you see the file, the QI macros file?
The macros did not come up.
Because it generates a new Excel file. My bad. What about now?
Yes, there it is.
Okay. Now, QI macros is not for free, so it has a subscription, unfortunately, but from research, I was searching about QI macros 2023. If you will avail of their subscription, it's actually perpetual. So it's a very good investment, especially for those who are really into research. Now I have a 30-day license available upon request. So if you want, you can request for a 30-day trial of QI macros. So you really have to make sure that you will be able to analyze your data set within 30 days. So you can request it. Can we arrange that, Ma'am Jera? How can we?
Maybe we can let's ask Noel regarding that. Maybe we
Okay.
can get
Anyway.
through email.
Okay. So where's the sign? Okay, it's here. Ayan. No, this is very convenient. QI macros is very convenient because all you need to do is just paste the data and it will already spit out the results right away. Very, very convenient. Okay, I will just replace this column with our data set and the results will be generated here. Okay, so where is my data set? Okay, it's here. I'll just copy and paste it. Okay. And the hypothesized median is 3. So that's the hypothesized median. So I'll put there 3. Okay. So it says here it cannot reject the null hypothesis. So what does this mean? How do we interpret the results? How do we interpret the results? So is the researcher correct in his hypothesis? Sige daw, yes or no, participants? The p-value is there, 0.358. Sige daw, participants, kindly. Okay, so here we fail to reject the null of equal median. So meaning the median is really equal to 3. Okay? No, we do not reject the null hypothesis. Okay? We do not reject the null hypothesis. By the way, pet peeve of mine as a statistician, using the word accept in hypothesis. You do not accept a null hypothesis because hypotheses are not, if they are true, but they are not absolutely true. Because once a new data comes in, the truthness might change, diba? So the truthness in hypothesis testing is not absolute. Okay, so we do not accept. We either just reject it or do not reject it. So use proper terminologies. Okay, so very good. We fail to reject the null hypothesis, meaning the researcher is correct in his or her hypothesis that the median is 3. So I'll go back to, sorry, I'm not really used to Zoom because I use Teams for my classes. Okay, there. Right, so we have another example. 58 students were randomly selected and they were asked on their opinion if they agree that ROTC should be implemented mandatorily in colleges and universities. So this is a very hot topic today, right? So we test, let us test if the median is 2 or if they really disagree strongly, if students disagree strongly. Here, the researchers used a 6-point Likert system. Oh, this means students cheat occasionally. This means, okay, so from the previous example, it means that the students believe that students cheat occasionally. If they cheat occasionally, truly we do not know. Because again, this is their opinion. So they believe that students cheat occasionally. Tama ba? So that's the true median, that they believe that the students cheat occasionally. Good question, Arvin. But to answer if they really cheat occasionally, so that's beyond the scope nasa in this research. Am I right, Ma'am Jera? We are only asking if they believe, right? Not if they really cheat.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
belief. And also you cannot use that for truthfulness because we are trying to see Likert data only.
So in your conclusion, be careful. You cannot say that, oh, the students are cheating occasionally. So no, you cannot do that. Right, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. Be very careful, participants, with your conclusions. Okay, where were we? Okay. So regarding the opinion of students on having a mandatory ROTC. Oops, wait lang. Forgive me, I'm not used to Zoom. I'm used to Teams. Where is the data? Okay. Ayun. So this is the data. Okay. So it's a 6-point na Likert system on their questionnaire. So 1 means disagree very strongly, 2 disagree strongly, and so on and so forth. So these are their responses. So we want to test whether we want to test if the students really, if the median response is 2 or disagree strongly. If the median response is 2. Okay. So same procedure using QI macros 2023, we just copy and paste our data. Very, very convenient. So the hypothesized median is 2. Let's see the results. Okay, so the p-value is 0.001. So what does this mean, participants?
So let's see their answers.
Yeah. That's correct, Mr. Ramon Serrano, no? It's only for the perception of the truth. We reject null hypothesis. Yeah. Okay, so this means that 2 is not the true median. Okay, 2 is not the true median. So it means to say again that the responses, or sorry, the median response is not equal to 2. Two less than 3. Okay, so some participants are asking if we have one-tailed or two-tailed. These are all two-tailed. Two-tailed tests. So we are testing if it's equal or not equal. So the alternative is also not. I have been pondering about it if I should include one-tailed test, but I figured that this will really take a long time. You know, I want this talk to be as short as possible to really just illustrate to the participants what correct test to use. Okay, so that's a limitation of this talk, that I cannot include one-tailed tests. But I believe that this is it. Two-tailed test is more than enough to for your research. Pero siguro if you are really nitpicky with your objectives, then sure, we can study about it, no? And sa QI macros, no, I think there is no one-tailed test, unfortunately. I have not checked it. So we need to use a more sophisticated statistical software like R or Python. Now, if you want to have a separate webinar on that software, we'll see with PLRC. Sige lang. So that's a limitation, ha? So just a disclaimer to all participants. So our tests here are mostly two-tailed. Equal against not equal. Okay, so those are just some illustrations illustrating one sample sign test. So some assumptions for sorry. Ang assumption, it's already discussed here. Okay. Now here, what if we want to test the median of two groups if they are different or not? Okay, so we will have a two sample sign test. So these are the assumptions. So we do not assume that the data is normally distributed, of course. Data should be from two samples. The population may differ for the two samples. Dependent samples should be a paired sample or matched, also known as before-after sample. So the two sample sign test is really recommended for repeated measures. And the paired observations for each participant need to be independent. It's always the case no, that for example, if I am a respondent of a particular research, my response is not influenced by the responses of the other respondents, and my response should not influence the responses of the other respondents. So it is an assumption that must be met always. Because here in the tests, we always assume independence of observations. Yan, one participant's values cannot influence another participant's values. Okay, so let us have an example about two sample sign test. So a sample of 120 randomly selected participants were asked if they agree that Maharlika Wealth Fund should be pushed through. They were then asked to watch a video discussing the major risks posed by the bill and its possible major negative effects it may have in our country. After watching the video, they were again asked if they still agree that the bill be pushed through. Now let us test the null hypothesis that the median perception of the participants did not change despite the video. So this is what we call a quasi-experiment in educational research. Am I correct, Ma'am Jera?
Yes.
No?
Same population, but it was twice tested.
Also, I also have witnessed some communication students doing this, like they will ask something about, let's say, a political matter, and they will give respondents something to read, and they will ask again the same question. So that's a quasi-experiment. So we can use the two sample sign test for our quasi-experiments. Okay, now I will show you the data set. Where is it? Okay, so these are the answers. So these are the answers before the video, and these are now the responses of the respondents after watching the video. So is it a 5-point? Yeah, I think it's a 5-point Likert system. So it seems like before watching the video, the participants agree that the Maharlika Wealth Fund be pushed through, but here we see that most of their responses changed. But we'll test if that is true or not. Sample sign. Okay, there. So we will only copy and paste the data here in QI Macros 2023. So yeah, before and after. Look at the p-value. It's very, very small. So it's already in a form of a scientific notation. So E minus 14 means there are 13 zeros before 3, or in other words, you must move the decimal point 14 times to the left. So what is our decision here, participants? Reject, meaning, okay, so if we reject, what does it mean? Their views significantly changed. Very good, Miss Yumi. Okay, their opinion or their perception about Maharlika Wealth Fund after watching the video changed. So it shifted. The responses shifted. So yeah, we reject the null hypothesis that their median response did not change at all. Okay, very good. Ma'am Jerica, galing sa ating mga ano, no?
Amazing ating mga
Participants.
attendees ngayon.
Yes. Very good, everyone. Because apart from doing, knowing the test, you should also know how to interpret it. You must know how to communicate the results. Did it change positively or negatively? Good question, Sir Ruel. You can change the median sa before and after. So if it decreased, meaning, what does it mean? So from mostly agree to mostly disagree. So there really is, yeah. The change is, you can see it negative round change. Yeah, very good. Now, to all participants, I mentioned earlier and it's the first session nga, the median can be difficult to interpret sa Likert, even though it is plausible. So the way we can see median in statistics is an example of what we call an ordered statistics. So an ordered statistic is a location parameter. So if the median changes, it actually means that the variable moves or it moved. Does it make sense? Since a median is a location parameter, if it changed significantly, meaning the responses shifted significantly as well. Do you follow? Okay, because again, I'm saying this because median can be difficult again to interpret. So you see it on a different angle na lang, on your interpretation. So here you can interpret it like this, that the perception of the participants or of the respondents changed significantly. So you're not saying about the median. You are not saying something about the shift of their perception. Nakuha? Am I making sense, ma'am?
Yes, sir. By just looking at the median, you will know if there was a shift to a positive perception or a negative perception based on this current example that we have.
Yeah, so do not interpret na lang the median because again, ang median is difficult to interpret in Likert. So you see it again na lang through its, shifting or changing,
Yes.
because variables can also move.
Okay, I think they got it. A lot of them said they got it.
Thank you. I might not make sense here, so just let me know. Okay, so some disadvantages of the sign test, to sample sign test, or the sign tests in general. So the sign test has a small power in small sample sizes according to Siegel and Castellan. So when we say statistical power is the ability of the test to reject a false null. No, so it means to say that if a test has a small power, then it fails most of the time, or it fails to reject even though the null hypothesis is false. So it simply allocates a sign to each observation according to whether it lies above or below some hypothesized value, and does not take the magnitude of the observation into account. So what the sign test actually does is it just splits the observation into two, above the median and below the median, and make some inferences about that. So we actually use chi-square here. But I will no longer go into detail, but yeah, the sign test does not take into account the magnitude of the observations. So omitting information on the magnitude of the observations is rather inefficient and may reduce the statistical power of the test, said Whitley and Ball, 2000. So for one sample tests of median, it is recommended instead to use the Wilcoxon one sample test. So do not use sign test because it has lower power. So we instead use Wilcoxon one sample test because it has higher statistical power according to literature. Si Sir nag-illustrate pag sign test, di man di Tingin lang, good. So I just want to show you these tests. Okay, so ang Wilcoxon one sample test, it's a non-parametric hypothesis test. It is a rank-based test and it compares the standard value. It's actually the goal is the same with this one sample median test. But this test has a higher statistical power than the one sample sign test. And the test also has a similar purpose with one sample sign test, but Wilcoxon one sample test considers now the magnitude of the differences in ranks, not just splitting the variable in two, above and below the median. So let us go back to the previous problems, but now we apply the Wilcoxon one sample test. Seek it out. I'll go back to QI macros, and let's see if we will get the same result. This one, what is this about again? This is about the ROTC thing?
Yes, sir. That's the ROTC one.
Oh.
The first one was about the cheating.
Okay. Tama. So we will use, where is the Wilcoxon? Ayun, Wilcoxon one sample. So we just place it here. And the hypothesized median was 2. Let's see. Okay, the p-value is 0. So do we have the same results? I think we have the same results.
Yeah. 0.0001.
It even says here to reject nulls. Very convenient.
Yes.
It says here to reject. No, very convenient. Okay, so yeah, we still get the same result, but again, Wilcoxon one sample test is recommended for one sample tests of median. Okay. Sa two sample test counterpart, on the other hand, so we have what we call the Wilcoxon signed rank test. So it evaluates the difference between two treatment conditions using data from a repeated measures design. So that is the sample is tested or measured in both treatment conditions. So this is a very good test sa quasi-experiment ng mga research. So it can be viewed as an alternative for the repeated measures t-test because there is a t-test for repeated measures. And it uses the data from one sample where each individual has been observed in two different treatment conditions to test for a significant difference between two treatments, and this test has higher statistical power compared to the sign test. So let us use the previous example, no, to Wilcoxon signed rank test. Where was it? Where did it? Sign test? Okay, the before and after. So instead of using sign test, let us just use Wilcoxon signed rank test. Because this has higher statistical power. But again, I'm reminding everyone that we use Wilcoxon signed rank test for repeated measures. So it is highly recommended to use this only for repeated measures. Okay, we also have the same results, Ma'am Gerano?
Yes, same results.
Same results. Okay, so we also reject the null at 0.05. P-value is 0. And in social science research in general, the level of significance is 0.05. Seldom do I see educational or social science researches that makes use of other level of significance. So it's already a conventionally accepted level of significance, which is 0.05. On 0.01, I only have witnessed that being used in life sciences. So something that already involves life, like clinical trials or ng mga bacteria. But that's why we see mga commercials. The alcohol can kill 99.99% germs, not 95%, because they use their alpha equals 0.0. Anyway, Ma'am Jera, na ba yung researches sa education that makes use of, let's say, 0.10 alpha?
I think the basic would be 0.05, so 95%.
0.05, no?
Yes.
Okay.
But most of the natural sciences will always test for 0.05 or 0.005, so 95% and 99%.
Okay.
Especially for bacterial clinical trials. You also have those that involves living organisms. So much
usually.
higher requirement for less error.
The 0.10, I have seen some journals applied 0.10 in economic research. Anyway, now it depends
I think it's
on
more
field.
of the gravity. I remember always I don't know if you know Madame Ladot. So Madame Ladot would always say that she would flunk a lot of biological science students and social science students because it will cost a lot if they get errors. So it can cost life, it can cost money. But for a lot of other fields, she would not really flunk most of them because they do not cost life when they get in the professional field. So sometimes we look into the gravity of, what we are researching.
Yeah, the choice really is it depends on the field, So it really depends on the field of your research. But here, so this is another disclaimer to the participants that the level of significance that will be used overall is 0.01. Okay, so some remarks lang. Be careful in using Wilcoxon sign rank test for ordinal data beyond Likert, because there are a lot of statisticians who will actually agree that you should not use Wilcoxon sign rank test if it's not continuous, at least the continuous requirement. But there is a paper by Hilton 1996 that it's okay, actually. It's okay to use Wilcoxon sign rank test for ordinal data if change in the shift of change in the shift parameter is being tested. No? If you are not testing that aspect, then you should not use Wilcoxon sign rank test. Now, luckily for Likert analysis, so testing for repeated measures in researches using Likert data is testing whether there has been a significant shift of responses or ranks after an intervention or after a treatment. So so we perform, so we are already done with this. So we already illustrated Wilcoxon sign rank test from our previous data. Okay, now I have the audacity to give you a non-Likert illustration, but just to give you another example of Wilcoxon sign rank test. So we have here 100 randomly selected participants from a university that uses a letter grade system. They were asked to participate in an experimental research. So here, the faculty researcher posits that his new pedagogical strategy is effective in retaining basic statistical concepts. So pretest was conducted first to measure their level of knowledge about the subject matter. Now, after a couple of weeks of participating in the experiment, the students were tested again on the same exam. So we can test that the null hypothesis that the new pedagogical strategy is not effective. So letter grade system is ordinal. Okay, so it's not continuous. GPA, are they continuous? They are, but letter grades are not. So you have to use tests for ordinal data if you are testing difference in academic performances na letter grade. If a university or if a school makes use of a letter grade system. But this is debatable. But we in the statistics faculty, we all agree na letter grade is really ordinal. They are letters. Ma'am Chair, should I illustrate this? Dili man siya liker.
I think it's better to illustrate, sir.
Illustrate na lang? Okay, sige, sige. Okay, nakonsensya ko kay magpakita ko dili liker.
It's normal when put service so that they can also check ba.
Okay, okay. Ayan. So we have here a pre-test and post-test. Also, it's a letter grade system. Now we need to convert these into codes, into how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 if A, 12 if A minus. I did not prepare this. I thought I will not show this, but anyway. So if that one is D plus, then 7, I mean 11. Otherwise, if so bear with me. I know. Sorry. This should be 11. It should be A. It should be A. If A2 is equal to A minus. Should be 10. This will take a while. Unless there is a shorter way to do this. So we need to convert this into codes of Likert-like data. Oops. If 8 equals b plus 9, what's next with b plus b? Jer, bantay ko diri. Basig. Okay. 11, 10, 9, 8. Yes, I did not prepare this. I thought I'm not going to show this. Equals 7. 9. If 8 is equal to, so to, b, what's next? B minus, then it's equal to 7 else. B minus C plus. So it's 6. So I'm using if here, the if function. Otherwise, 8, 2 is equal to C. Oh my goodness. 7, 6, 5. Mom, are you still there? Jera,
Yes po.
am I doing correctly? Am I doing this right so far?
So far po.
Pakibantay na lang. Okay, so 4, 3. So we're getting there. Okay. Copy, no? But this is what we do in, this is what we do in our, sa mga teachers there, this is what we do, right? So, makarelate siguro mo. D plus, so the close fail is D. Should be D. 2. And finally, fail if 1. Say. Oh no, there's a mistake in my.
I think sir, pwede rin pong gumamit ng
What?
replace or
Is there
VLOOKUP.
a shortcut to this?
Oo. I think pwede rin gumamit ng VLOOKUP.
VLOOKUP. How do we do that? I have not. VLOOKUP.
Equals VLOOKUP.
Yeah.
Opo. And then yung lookup values po dyan sa So VLOOKUP and then yung E2
This one. X. VLOOKUP.
on yung number value po dun ilagay po muna sa G.
Okay. See.
Bago gamitin yung
You
VLOOKUP
mean
po.
it's 11, 12.
Opo.
Sorry. 10.
Ano po, 11, 10, 9.
And then?
And then, yun po yung magiging lookup value niya. So, okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
opo. Yan po. And then after that, so naging lookup number na niya. So we look up
First.
po. Tapos for the pre-test po ID.
This one. And
Bigyan ko po kayo ng ano. So mag-checking po tayo.
oh no, I'm sorry guys. Because I did not prepare this, but I thought I'm not going to.
So yun po. So technically A11.
What if I share this file with you, ma'am?
Okay po, sige po.
And we will go back later.
Sige po.
Sige. Okay, we are eating the time. Wait lang. Balik na lang. We will go back to this example later. Huh? Anyway, this is not a Likert variable. What's this bar for? What? So again, the idea there is you convert those letter grade into Likert-like responses, and then you will use Wilcoxon signed rank test. Okay na ma'am Jera. So kuha na lang ma'am, palihog, so that we will go back to this example later on, because I don't want to dwell too much on this. I want to proceed.
Okay po. I'm downloading it po.
Okay, thank you ma'am. Sige, we will proceed na with the other test. Okay. Now we have Wilcoxon rank sum test. So this is different Wilcoxon signed rank test. Now the Wilcoxon rank sum test, this is the Wilcoxon Mann-Whitney test that you have heard already before. Now this test compares two non-paired groups and is equivalent to the parametric unpaired t-test. Now if you have two mutually independent groups and you want to test if their median is different or not, then you use Wilcoxon rank sum test, or the Wilcoxon Mann-Whitney test. Now, both Wilcoxon tests, either Wilcoxon signed rank or Wilcoxon rank sum, they both infer about the median of two groups. So in other words, so we denote by x sub 0.5n, the median of the random variable x, and y sub 0.5n, the median for y. Then we actually test the null, that they are equal against not equal. Okay, so we have here an example. So a researcher wants to investigate whether perception regarding jeepney modernization is different for commuters in urban cities and in rural areas in Region 7. So in this research, a 6-point Likert system was used, and commuters were asked the question, do you agree that jeepney modernization will make our daily commute and the livelihood of jeepney drivers better? So using an appropriate sampling methodology, 60 and 65 commuters from urban and rural areas in Region 7 were randomly selected, respectively. So we test the null hypothesis of no difference in median opinion. Okay, so since, again, the two groups here are mutually independent, so we have the urban group and the rural group. So we will not use the Wilcoxon signed rank. We have to use the Wilcoxon rank sum. So this is the data set. So these are the responses from the urban group, and these are the responses from the rural group. Okay, I'll go back to our QI macros 2023. So Wilcoxon signed rap. Is this? No, sorry. Wilcoxon Man-Whitney test. Where ayun? So this is the Man-Whitney test. The Wilcoxon Man-Whitney test. I'll just copy paste the responses. Okay, so the p-value is 0.82. It says here that we cannot reject the null hypothesis. So what does this mean, participants? Sige daw. What is your interpretation of the results? What is your interpretation? Yeah, we failed to reject because it's here, but what is the, I know, there's no, yeah, but what does it mean? Okay, there are two very good answers from Miss Yumi and Sir Francis. Ayan. So make your interpretations complete. So perception of participants from the rural and urban groups are the same, or their opinion on jeepney modernization is the same. Okay, so make it complete. So not just fail to reject, it's already here. So give me more about the results. Yeah, perception of both groups are the same in terms of what? So make it really specific. So again, we see here from the test results, according to the Wilcoxon Man-Whitney U test, that both groups have the same opinion on the jeepney modernization that the government is trying to push through. So it means to say it does not matter where you live in the region, whether you live in the urban area or in the rural. So their perception about the matter is just the same. Okay, nanay, na-share si Ma'am Jera. Let me see. I want to go back on that example. War for. Thank you, Ma'am Jera.
No problem, sir.
So Wilcoxon, sign her. Oops, values lang. These special values. So these are the pre and post tests academic performance. Ayan. Ay, hala, am I showing it? Sorry.
Not yet po.
Not yet. Ay, balik. Okay, this is the result. You reject the null at 0.05. So sige, participants, again, this is regarding the academic performance before the pedagogical strategy and after the pedagogical strategy. So what do we conclude here?
For educational researchers over there.
Yes, for educational researchers there, what do we conclude?
Is the intervention effective based on this pre-test and post-test of the grades of the students?
Where are the teachers? Does not significantly differ? Okay. You can actually compare the median performance before the intervention and the median performance after the intervention. You will actually see that there is an increase there in the median. So nag-shift, there is a shift of their academic performances, positive na shift. And the question now is that shift significant? So based from Wilcoxon syndrome test, yes, that shift is significant. So meaning the pedagogical intervention is effective. No?
So magaling si teacher.
Magaling si teacher.
Magaling si teacher.
Correct.
So, Sir Jack, this
Yeah.
is very, very, very useful way of checking. Just not on research alone, but in testing your interventions inside a classroom. Because you always have the grades of the students from one grading period to another.
Okay. And this test can be particularly used for those schools using a letter grade system.
Exactly.
So again, I want to let all the teachers know that if your school is using a letter grade system, it is ordinal. You should treat that as an ordinal data, not a continuous one.
Also for those having the grade point average system.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So dili mag-t-test. So you only use t-test kung percentage, basta continuous. From 0% to 100%. It's okay to use t-test. And if it's normally distributed. Okay, now we're done with one sample and two sample. What about if we want to test multiple groups? So there are also available non-parametric tests as alternative for ANOVA and MANOVA. Now, these tests, ang ANOVA and MANOVA, they actually assume also normality. They assume that the distributions of each observed value from each groups are normally distributed. Now, once that is violated, it really is not recommended to use ANOVA or MANOVA. Okay, the distribution there is F-test. So F-test always comes with normality. So for independent groups, we can perform the Kruskal-Wallis test. So Kruskal-Wallis test is our alternative to ANOVA, one-way ANOVA. If we want to test multiple groups, if they have different medians, or if they come from different, or if they come from if at least one group comes from a different distribution. Now for matched groups or repeated measures, we can perform the Friedman test. So this is our alternative for MANOVA or two-way ANOVA. Okay, we can perform the Friedman test. However, this is just my side note. I cannot think of an application where measures will be repeated more than twice in a research using Likert data. Na ba, Ma'am Jera? Is there? Is it practical? I mean, is there an application? Is there a research where we use repeated measures and Likert? I can't really think of something.
Yeah. There can be in the cases of like looking into motivation, but basically it's more of levels, and it's still being used as a Likert data.
Yeah, basta for repeated measures, at most 2 for kung Likert.
Yes,
At
exactly.
most 2 lang siya. So I will not illustrate unless there's someone from the participant there who make use of repeated measures tapos Likert. But anyway, if you're doing that, so you can use the Friedman test, and this is also available in the QI macros 2023. So it's really, the QI macros is complete. Okay, now testing multiple independent groups involving Likert responses makes more sense though. So now there's this, what do you call this, independent groups makes more sense. So we can use the Kruskal-Wallis test. Now, what's the Kruskal-Wallis for? In particular, the Kruskal-Wallis H test. So it can be viewed as an alternative to a single factor independent measures ANOVA, and it uses data from 3 or more separate samples to evaluate differences among 3 or more treatment conditions. This test requires that you are able to rank order the individuals, but does not require numerical scores. So very perfect for Likert data. It's not required, not real numbers siya. For as long as you can rank it, then you can use Kruskal-Wallis H test. And this is the null hypothesis. So the null hypothesis is given by that all medians from k different groups are equal. Okay? So again, the null hypothesis for Kruskal-Wallis H test is that the median for all k groups is just the same. So here are the assumptions before you perform a Kruskal-Wallis H test. So of course, they must be random. They must be random, or your respondents were randomly selected. The k samples are mutually independent. So usually grouping by location is a good way to assure mutual independence. So for example, if I live in Cebu, I belong in the Cebu group, I should not be part of the Leyte group. Tama ba? If a researcher will cover, let's say, the Visayas Islands. For example lang Leyte, for example. So there is that mutual independence. So one respondent must belong in only one group. And the measurement scale is at least ordinal, so very good test for Likert, okay, ordinal ang Likert. And if the test is used as a test of dominance, it has no distributional assumptions. And if it is used to compare medians, the distributions must be similar apart from their locations. And the test is generally considered to be robust to ties. So in Likert, it's very natural to have ties. So Kruskal-Wallis H test is robust to that situation. Now, as an illustration, suppose that the previous research was replicated in 4 large barangays in Cebu City, were randomly chosen, and respondents from each barangays are randomly selected. So this is a result of a multi-stage sampling. So you randomly select barangays, and from each barangays, you randomly select your participants. So that's a result of a multi-stage sampling. So we test the null hypothesis of no difference in median responses from the 4 barangays. So this one is, we are replicating the jeepney modernization issue. So this is the data. Okay, so we have 4 barangays. So these are their responses. I'll just copy it right away and go to QI macros. Where is it? Kruskal-Wallis, okay, there. Okay, the p-value is 0.608. So again, we randomly selected participants from 4 barangays regarding on their opinion about jeepney modernization. So mga commuters from 4 barangays, and this is the p-value. So what is again the interpretation here? Kindly put your interpretation. Again, give me a complete interpretation, please.
Complete interpretation based on the
So
question.
that I can check. So according to Miss Yumi, no significant difference on the opinion on chip among. Very good. Commuters' perception does not vary. Wow. I'll steal that. Just kidding. This is a very good
Nicely
interpretation.
said.
No,
Yes.
from Mr. Ramon Serrano, does not vary significantly per barangay.
Mm.
For this barangay.
Our
Okay.
attendees today are amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so Sir Ruel, at 5% level of significance, we have sufficient evidence that there is no significant difference in kani. This is really the complete
Yes.
interpretation, no? So this is the kind of interpretation that I expect in, let's say, research journals.
Yes.
This one by Sir Ruel Velonza. This one. Very good, Sir Ruel. Shout out. Congratulations for that very good interpretation. You had a very good statistics teacher before. I wonder who that is. Okay. Okay, so some remarks about the Cruz-Calwales H-test. So much like with a parametric one-way ANOVA or repeated measures ANOVA, if a significant main effect is found using non-parametric statistics, then a post hoc analysis must be undertaken to explain the significant main effect. I'm not quite sure if you're familiar with post hoc tests, but usually kung ANOVA, if you see that there is at least one group that deviated from the rest of the groups, then you must detect what is that group. So we perform a post hoc test. Now in our illustration, we do not get to do that because there is no significant difference. So however, yeah, non-parametric tests do not have the Tukey, Schiffe, and the Dunat tests. Like parametric. So these are the post hoc tests that we do after ANOVA if at least one group deviated from the rest. So sa non-parametric na counterpart, we use subsequent tests employed in a post hoc fashion. No? So we do it pairwise. We get K taken 2 combinations. If there are K groups, you do it K taken 2 ways. So you will perform K taken 2 sample tests. But what do you think the test should be, participants? What test should we do? Again, for example, at least one of the groups deviated from the rest. So we must determine what that group is. So we must do a pairwise na test. Is it 2 sample sign test? Is it Wilcoxon signed rank test? Is it Wilcoxon ranked sum test? Sige daw.
Okay, check natin yung answers nila.
Take note, these are independent groups. And what test do we do for 2 independent groups?
Some already said it's the Mann-Whitney test.
Mann-Whitney or Wilcoxon ranks?
Wilcoxon rank
ranks
sum.
and Mann-Whitney is just the same.
Mhm.
Pareho lang na sila.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they're just the same. So good.
Okay.
Yeah, so you perform Wilcoxon rank sum test. So thank you everyone for listening. So that's the end of my presentation.
There you go. Thank you so much, Sir Jack Aboy. I think that was one of the most for me, it's the most interactive out of the 3 parts in this series. And everyone was really getting into the data and looking into the results. And they were able to Give very nice interpretation. Very good interpretation. Pang-journal na interpretation.
Of course, dapat journal level.
Yes! Okay. So, pahuway sa kagamay din ha, sir. And I will say hi to those na wala pa nato nahayan. So, those coming from CEU Manila, Cavite State University Main Campus, hi po. Dr. Carlos Lanting College, from Northwest Samar State University. Okay.
Hello po.
They're in Calbayog City, Samar. Isabela State University. Okay. And meron rin po tayo coming from Sorsogon City. Okay. Cavite State University. From King Faisal Specialist Hospital at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. O, diba?
Wow.
Amazing. And coming from Zamboanga Peninsula Polytechnic State University. Those also coming from SMC, Pagadian City. Okay. And meron po tayong alumnus ng UP Visayas currently teaching at Ibahay Academy Incorporated. From Lucena City and also coming from Bulacan and Angeles, Pampanga. Southern Mindanao and from Caloocan. So marami. And we also have a lot coming from international. Hey.
Hello.
We have also some fellows from UP Baguio. Hi. I want to go there sometime. UP Baguio is very nice and it has a UP Cebu feel as well. Oh, yung temperature lang yung temperature mababa doon. You don't need to
I've seen in the news 10 degrees.
Yes, napakababa. Yung taxi doon hindi na nangangailangan ng aircon.
I bet the mall does not need.
Even the mall, even SM don't have aircon. I tell you, I promise you. It's really it's a cold place. Samar State University, Gian, Eastern Samar State University, Voctech Academy, Cebu City, hi po dyan. And Applied Statistics, no? Polytechnic University of the Philippines main campus. So sa Manila to. PGH HIMD, Statistician Aid, hi po! From PGH po sila. Zamboanga del Sur and Batanes. Meron na tayong Batanes. Hopefully, meron din tayong Tawi-Tawi next. Diba?
Wow,
From Batanes
end
hanggang
to
Hulo.
end.
Okay. So from UPLB, hi po! Sana magkita tayo one of these days. We bump each other there at the campus. Leyte Normal University.
My alma mater.
Oh.
LNU.
Holy Trinity College. Thank you, super. And then, watching another viewer and attendee natin, watching from UK, they said na it's -1 degrees Celsius over there right now. Quezon City University, hi po. And Central Luzon State University. Also, Holy Trinity from General Santos City. Iba, ang rami. Pwede na no, Batanes hanggang Hulo. Ano ba to?
And outside the
And
Philippines.
outside the Philippines. Okay.
Amazing.
So, sir, are you ready for the question and answer portion?
Yeah. Before
yes, sir.
Before I entertain question, I just want to share to the participants na we actually recommend if you will perform kanang mga questionnaires, no, we just recommend for the responses to be continuous instead of Likert because the analysis there is way easier. So you can use mean and Peter. I'll show you an example. There is a student right now, Ma'am Jera, in my former student in computer science, and he is now in his thesis under Professor Percival. I want to share this a questionnaire. Wait lang ha. Para makita sa participants ba. You can perform.
Yung hindi lang Likert. Na pwede
hindi
siyang
na Likert,
gamitin.
continuous. Okay.
Hi po there, from Davao and Makati.
Ito, Ma'am Jera, oh.
Ay,
Look,
oo nga, mas maganda.
this is no longer Likert.
Continuous na
This is
siya.
continuous. So,
And it's easier also to use continuous data.
yeah, you can use mean, standard deviation t-test.
Exactly.
So, no need to attend the series. Just kidding. Yeah, but what I'm saying is this is doable.
Mm.
So we encourage our participants to explore on this. This is not
Yes.
continuous.
Yes.
Anyway. So shout out to
Mm.
Mr. Dayson Makilang, BS Computer Science, fourth year student of UP Cebu.
Shout out sa kanya. Maganda ang kaniyang ginawa. Hindi na siya Likert scale. But
Yeah.
rather, it's a continuous. It's now a range continuous. Semantic differential scale. Oh, parang ang semantic differential ngayon. Ano? Yung scale
I'm
na
not
yun.
familiar with cement.
Okay. Hi po, UP Visayas. And sir, meron talagang taga-tawi-tawi.
Wow! Thank you.
Amazing! So from Batanes hanggang Tawi-Tawi na tayo. Very nice.
Wow.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So for the question and answer, I think some of your questions were already answered by either Sir Rad or Sir Joseph kanina. But because we wanted to know more about the other questions that you asked, then let's have Sir Rad and Sir Joseph be with us here in the discussion hall. Ayan, ready na ba tong dalawang gwapong to?
Wait, where are you?
Where are you, Sir Joseph and Sir Rad?
Where art thou? Ay, Sir
Ayan.
Rad has no mic.
Walang mic si Sir Rad ngayon.
Sir Joseph,
Hello, I'm Professor Alboy and Miss Jera. We
Yan,
show
just
yourself.
our
Pakita nyo ang inyong kagwapuhan.
Show yourself there.
Okay, si Sir Rad andyan na eh. Ayan. Si Sir Joseph na lang. Okay. Sir Jack, let's start with some of the questions. Kindly look at the Q&A question box. And we might want to
Sure.
start with something that you really wanted to answer.
Okay. All right. So I have here that piqued my interest. When I look into research literatures, I often still see papers that manipulate Likert data as if it is interval or ratio. If these papers were reported, would they warrant paper retraction? Now it depends on the reputation of the editorial board of that journal. Ako I'm not saying, this is just based from experience. I have seen research articles published where they treat Likert data as interval, as if it is continuous. But when I checked the quality of the journal, it really is questionable. And really from medical journals that makes use of Likert data, like Journal of Oncology, etc., when they use Likert, they really use what we have taught you from the previous three webinar series, using interquartile range, using median, using Spearman, and these tests that I taught you. So really, it depends on the quality of the journal. So to participants, be careful to the journal that you are submitting. So make sure that it is included in the Scopus database or in the Web of Science, Clarivate Analytics. So those are the two databases that I really look into.
It doesn't matter what quartile your journal is coming from, as long as it is coming from a well peer-reviewed institution. And it doesn't mean if it's coming from quartile 1 or quartile 4, it doesn't matter. As long as the peer review is correct and done meticulously. So always look up Web of Science, Scopus, and all of these how do you call this, sir? These kinds of ranking and
ranking.
When it comes to the journals also. And I also see a lot of journal publications who would really retract some of these articles if they find it malicious or if they find it incorrect. So also make sure that when you have these kinds of journal distributions, you always check the news and updates because
Yeah.
they really retract it. Yeah. Only those predatory journals does not retract. So take note of that. And also be aware of predatory journals. There are a lot of predatory journals out
Be
there.
careful.
Okay.
And okay, also there really, because there is a group of people who would really argue that we can, so it's a different school of thought. So we came across actually a journal. She performed a simulation study. So there she recommends to social science researchers to use an 11-point Likert system to approach normality. So she proved it in her paper, but it was actually obvious because if you increase the number of possible choices, you will really approach normality. So just like what I showed you, like the questionnaire of the student, just make it continuous. And we will not have this webinar series anymore.
Wag naman, sir.
You know,
Meron
just
pa
kidding.
tayong paper, pen and paper na survey, ha? Ikaw,
Just kidding. Because I
Okay.
know some fields are really into Likert now. So
Okay. So, let's have Sir Joseph. Sir Joseph, meron ka bang question na you're itching to answer? I saw Sir Joseph answering a lot of questions kanina. Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Jera and Professor Aboy, for the very, let's say, comprehensive discussion about the second part of our inferences on Likert data. Actually, we just finished our faculty meeting a while ago. So my attention was kind of divided by the two meetings. So while answering other questions, I think one of the questions that I want to raise for this specific lecture would be wait, I'm still thinking about my question.
go, sir.
Kuha lang sir katong clarification. I think it's a major clarification lang kanina about sa Shapiro-Wilk test that you presented. Were those p-values?
Yeah, no. Those were test statistic.
Ah,
Mm-mm.
I thought it. Um,
Ano,
I thought those are p-values,
ano.
but we rejected the null. And that,
All at 0.01.
Mm.
So I simulated pseudo Likert data nga medyo symmetric or bell-shaped. And regardless, it's still non-normal.
Mm.
okay.
I
So I want to clarify my. I want to update my answer on that particular question. I actually answered na, yeah, it was normally distributed, but again, just like what Professor Aboy emphasized kanina, na if you repeat your experiment or trial a million times, it will likely approach normal talaga. But again, the assumption or the scale of measurements of our data is still ordinal. No matter the number of
Correct.
number of repetition of trials. So yeah, we cannot still use the mean, instead the median or the mode.
Yes. Okay. So, mga sirs, there is this one question over here.
Yeah.
So, they wanted to ask your opinion because some practices on data sets, especially with those having outliers in which statisticians either delete the outlier or adjust the value of the outlier into the average or common values. Is that correct? And someone also said that they gonna do it because non-parametric tests are weak compared to parametric tests. Is this true? So,
How?
on your case, sir.
So if you're only up until descriptive and you will use median, it's okay, even if you will not delete it, because median is robust to outliers, unlike mean. It's very sensitive to outliers. So if you will use median and there are still outliers, so it's still okay. But for these tests, I have not checked if these tests are robust to outliers. So I would still err on the side of removing them, because in modeling, we want to really remove the outliers unless we can. So that could be a good research, Sir Joseph, Sir Rad, robust, non-parametric robust hypothesis tests. Wow.
So, nag-agree si Sir Rad at saka Sir Joseph na magandang maging test yan. Because that's actually very useful if there's actually a test for that.
If there, so for now, we will err on the side of removing it, because it will affect the model if you are building, let's say, a regression model. So what's your take on this, Sir Joseph?
My take on the outlier analysis is that in statistics, we want to use or utilize our, let's say, samples as much as possible, no? So if there are some outliers in our data, then I think we have to look for some tests that can cater these outliers. For example, we can actually test if these are significant outliers, no? And we can
Oh.
actually do that. And so, for example, if we have tested that these outliers are significantly affecting our result, then we have to say delete those outliers. But if not, then we can still use that, because again, we have to utilize our information as much as possible.
As much as possible, correct.
Okay. Sir Rad, any addition or diretso tayo sa next?
Wala daw siya
Okay
yung mic.
na. Ay, wala siyang mic. Sige, so paganon-ganon lang si Sir Rad. Paganon-ganon.
Chat lang
Okay,
daw siya.
chat lang siya. Okay. So here is the next question. In psychological researches, we usually obtain some scores from the items of a certain scale. For example, self-esteem items, 1, 5, 7, 10, 15 from a questionnaire in order to create a composite score for that particular scale. Is this composite score now considered continuous data even if it was added from a Likert scale? So that is also quite a question because there's a lot of articles that also does that for some published journals.
Yeah, because yun nga, just like what I said earlier, increasing the Likert points will somehow approach the normal, but are they trying to increase the gaps somehow?
I think they're making a
Tama ba?
composite. So I think. So dapat
It's
pa rin,
still-
'di ba? Likert pa rin
It
yung
still falls
magiging
into Likert, no
Yeah.
matter what.
falls into Likert pa
It's
rin.
still Likert. Yeah, still Likert.
Okay.
Again, this can be addressed, this issue can be addressed if you will just give more options to the respondents. So make it more continuous na.
Yes,
Allow
increase the
decimal.
options.
Increase the number of options.
Allow them to have decimal places.
Correct.
Okay. Speaking of sir, are all of these tests actually present also in the movie?
Hala,
Yan ang question.
only Cruz Calwalis, tama ba, Sir Joseph? Only Cruz Calwalis. No, there's no scientific.
Pero at least
Sorry, I have not
magagamit nila
explored the
yung...
movie. Sir Joseph, I have not explored the movie. So are the tests that I showed present in the movie? I think not all. Not all of them.
Yeah, I think so too. Not all of the tests that Professor Aboy showed kanina are available in the movie. However, there are modules under the movie that are still in progress. So I think those tests are still available in the future, if not
Developing
all,
pa.
developing pa. Since the movie is parang bago pa. Ganun.
Okay. So we have to wait.
I think Sir Rad also said that pwede silang mag-install ng library on the movie. Am I right, Sir Rad?
It's like a package.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a package.
Mhm.
Okay.
UI macros is not free, but again, it's available upon request. 30 days trial. So make sure that you'll finish your analysis within 30 days.
Yun ang ginagawa namin sa SPSS before. Tinetest na lang muna namin, handwork na lang muna.
Oo.
Tapos pag ready na, pang
Pag
lagay
ready na,
sa SPSS, 14-day trial. Diba? So, okay. This one, sir. I think this is coming from high school. We are having a sensory evaluation of food made by grade 12 cookery students. I am planning to get the mode of that for the practical research part. So mode ang gagamitin niya. But the evaluation is coming from sensory evaluation. So sa pagkain. Would that be enough given that we are actually not employing any inferential statistical treatment but only descriptive? So, pwede lang bang gamitin ang mode as a simple statistics on that?
why not?
Diba?
Again,
Mas maigi nga, di ba?
yeah, and research is not all about statistics. It's all about your contribution on the field. Statistics are just tools to help you answer the questions that you are asking. So even though it's just simple statistics, it's a matter of how you can tell the story, how you can communicate your result, even if it's just a simple survey. For as long as you can communicate it well, no, that is more than enough.
Okay, for those high school students who are listening right now, always remember what Sir Jack said. So no matter how simple the statistical tool you're using or the method, just make sure that your research is sound and you can tell the story and interpret what you got, no, as results. Okay, so hearts mga students natin na gumagawa ng research ngayon. Nagka-heart rate si Sir Rad.
Good luck.
Okay. Any more question you wish to answer, mga sirs? So I think we
Okay,
only
let's-
just have a couple of questions now.
What should wait.
Okay, for researchers who are using Likert data and you are quite doubting what kind of statistical tests will be appropriate, always go back to the data you are handling.
Correct.
And what are the purpose of why you would want to. So you always have to go back to the question you're asking. So
And adding to what Ma'am Jera said, to all participants, when in doubt, consult a statistician. Okay,
yes.
just like in medicine, you do not self-medicate. You go to a doctor, no, to ask what medicines to take for your illness. So same goes with statistics. No, consult always a statistician. If you already exhausted all the references and still you're not confident, so we are here. No, we are here to answer your questions. Okay, again, analyzing a data is not all about what's the most popular, so it's really on the appropriateness of these tools based on the nature of your data set and based on your objectives. So we are the people who knows what statistical methodology should we know how to tailor fit, based on your objectives and based on the nature of your data set. So again, when in doubt, actually we always recommend from the beginning pa lang, consult a statistician right away from the sampling phase. No? Okay, there is also we also choose a specific sampling methodology based on your objectives and based on the characteristics of your target population. So always involve a statistician from the very beginning if you are not an expert.
Okay. So, and huwag matakot na hindi normal ang inyong data set according pa ni Sir Rad.
Correct.
Okay, because there will always be a statistical method for that. Again, repeated, when you do your research, make sure that your objectives are clear and you communicate your objectives to your statistician clearly so that you will know what kind of measurement you will be doing, and later on, what kind of statistical methods that must be employed. Okay. So, another question. This is coming from the YouTube channel. If
Oh.
we performed multiple Mann-Whitney U test for the post hoc in Kruskal-Wallis, will it not make the alpha error equal 0.05? Ito. So, where K is the number of the pairwise groups being compared. So, kung multiple po ba daw?
Again, what's the question?
Check nyo po yung chat box. If we perform multiple Mann-Whitney U test for the
Pairwise. Yeah.
where K is the number of pairwise groups being
No, if there are K groups, there are K taken 2 pairs. Yeah.
Sir Joseph, my
So-
answer?
Go ahead, sir.
I think for the question, the main purpose of the pairwise comparison is to really check if there is a pairwise, let's say, difference. Okay, di ba in Kruskal-Wallis, or the parametric counterpart would be the, let's say, TOEI ANOVA.
Yeah.
We have the more than 2 groups that are being compared. Now, the only let's say the p-value that we get in using the Kruskal-Wallis is if there is a significant difference for at least, let's say, 2 groups. Okay, so in order to get the which group differed, then we do the post hoc, and we can actually do pairwise comparison using let's say Mann-Whitney. So for the power of the test, I think he or she is referring to the power of the test now. For the post hoc, we cannot really, let's say, wala tayong magagawa sa power of test, because the main purpose of post hoc is to really to know which group
Which
differ from each other.
Yeah.
That is the main purpose of post hoc.
Okay. So, kindly remember what Sir Joseph actually said. So, the main purposes of post hoc and what to use and what can be done. Okay. Sir Jack, meron po silang nilagay dito na, of course, di ba, 2 schools, no? Ang atin, hindi pwedeng i-treat as, or some will treat Likert data as interval, but for some, it must be treated as not interval. So there are some articles or archives being sent to us here, no? Kung makikita ng lahat, dito sa ating chat box. So we can see examples
I
of
have
that.
seen that already before, that journal article before. I don't know if this is just my opinion. I don't know if I can accept that, because at least it should be in a journal of statistical computation. Like, it really underwent a series of simulation experiments, not just some commentary or.
Yes. So dapat merong valid evidences and experimentation or simulations on this matter. But then again, always remember what is best for your research must be the appropriate statistical tool, and always consult your statistician on that. Okay. Okay. So merong nag-ask dito sa some statistics major. Okay. Sometimes ginagawa nilang interval yung
statistics major in your.
But there are actually cases like that. But then again, we have this kind of webinars to enlighten most of our participants on that. Okay.
Okay, so just to, we always welcome those ideas for as long as it is statistically sound. The theory must be sound. It's not just any collection of opinions, or just because a few people agrees, then we accept it. That's not how we do. That's not what we do in science.
Okay. So, last words.
Last words.
Last words kasi malapit nang mag-end ang ating webinar. And of course, Sir Joseph, Sir Rad, and Sir Jax, thank you for volunteering at the UP Cebu TLRC. So ating mga a big hand to our volunteers, especially these three guapo guys that we have here. TLRC always invite our faculty and even students, no, to volunteer as speakers or as trainers in the TLRC events. And they are only given minimal volunteer allowances for this one. So the amount of preparations that they have is actually very heart. Okay. So any last reminders to our participants when it comes to Likert data in one sentence? Unahin natin si Sir Joseph muna. In one sentence.
In once,
Parang na ano si Sir Jack
pressure.
na lang. Si Sir Jack na lang. Anong gusto mong dapat ma-remember ng ating participants before they go out in their normal lives after this webinar?
Siguro lang, do not take the webinar series with a grain of salt. Everything that we taught you is based from our training. We are graduates of statistics. We took MS statistics. So we have sound background knowledge of the theories of statistics. So, ano lang, again, when in doubt, consult us. Someone really who has a statistics degree. Yun lang.
Okay. Sir Joseph? Sir Rad, i-type mo na.
For a one sentence na, let's say, closing message to the participants, it would be your data will always, the test that you're going to use will always adjust to your data, not the
Yeah,
other.
correct.
Okay. So, dapat. Okay?
Exactly.
So if you have an ordinal data scale, then you cannot extend that to the interval scale.
Yes.
Correct.
You can actually do the other way around. If you have interval scale or ratio scale data, you can always transform that into ordinal or nominal, but not the other way around.
Okay.
Correct.
So, always remember that. And coming from
100%.
Sir Rad, Likert tayo. Make sure, ordinal, not interval. Sir Rad. Okay. So, Noel, let's show the certificate of our speaker today. Noel? Heart naman dyan, mga. Okay. So, today, we are proudly giving the certificate of recognition to Professor Jack Isaac Aboy for sharing his invaluable time and expertise as resource speaker in the webinar Inferences on Likert Data Part 222 on March 8 via Zoom. And this was signed by our lovely at pinakamamahal naming TLRC coordinator, Miss Natividad Virginia Esteliores. Sir Jack, thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you as well.
Okay, so since wala tayong capacity for photo op today, wala lang tayong photo op. Okay, but these are the evaluation reminders. Right after this will be our promotion for the mathematics program of UP Cebu. So evaluation reminders, our evaluation and processing of e-certificates are always automated. So please make sure to type in the correct spelling of your name, since this will reflect on your e-certificates. And also, please be mindful in typing your email address because it is where you'll receive your certificates. We suggest that you keep a copy of your responses in the evaluation for you to verify if you have made mistakes. Always click send me a copy of my responses before submitting. Normally, it takes less than 3 minutes after submitting to receive your certificate. And should you not be able to receive it by 5 p.m. today, just send a reply message with your concern to the confirmation email that we sent at lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph, and we will manually send the certificate on the next working day. And make sure that you know the evaluation link is open for only 10 minutes. So if you see the evaluation link right now, kindly make sure that you click, and evaluate. Okay. Noel, can we play the mathematics program teaser video? Okay. Thank you so much rin po. Maraming thank you kay sir. Thank you so much. Kindly wait for the evaluation link while we play this video. Check in pa ni Noel. Okay. So while we will be playing the video, kindly wait for the evaluation link. Thank you so much for your patience and being with us also.
By the way, Ma'am Jera, I
Yes.
will give a workshop or exercise for those who want to receive a certificate of completion. So the three speakers will evaluate those output submissions, and we will give a certificate of completion that you have at least attended 8 hours of training. So something like that.
Okay.
For those
So
who are interested.
for those who would want to have the completion certificate, Sir Jack today will be giving us a link to the is that a Google Drive Google folder just like before, Sir Jack, no?
Yes. Tomorrow na lang. Okay.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay, so just make sure that you tell us that you wanted to answer these activities by emailing us at lrc.upcebu.edu.ph. Oh, meron ng suggestions for the next meeting. And that is qualitative research methods naman daw.
Ay, that's no longer our field.
So ask natin, baka meron tayong mga experts coming from the social sciences.
Social sciences.
So we hope we can get volunteers from our social sciences.
We're from CICAD, Ma'am Jera.
Yes, from CICAD.
From
I have
CICAD.
humanities also.
Yeah.
Okay. So kindly check on the evaluation link. It is already up right now.
It's there now.
So thank you for your patience. Okay. From Batanes to Tawi-Tawi and from Saudi Arabia to London. So, grabe yung reach, ha? Yung reach natin. Okay. For those who are submitting the activities, starting from the activities given by Sir Rad to the activities by Sir Joseph, and then the activities that will be sent by Sir Jack tomorrow, those activities will be evaluated by these three professors. And once you got a passing grade of that, you will be given the fourth certificate, which is the completion certificate for this Likert data analysis series. So please answer those activities. It will be an extra benefit for you. Okay. If hindi nyo pa po nagawa yung output for the day 1, just send an email to lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph so that at least we know that you need the link for that and you can answer. Okay. May deadline po tayo. Kailan po ang deadline, Sir Jack? Within this week ba?
Before the Holy Week, before the Lent.
Before Lent. So, before
Before
Holy Week.
Lent.
So, magpo-post na lang siguro ng deadline
Yeah.
yung TLRC on their Facebook page. Nag-error. I see. Okay, kindly check. Okay. Kindly check. Okay. If you are using phone, sometimes you will be asked to sign in again. That's okay. So, i-sign in nyo lang po if you are using phone kasi nare-redirect siya in another web page. So, yan, paki-sign in. And here is an alternative evaluation link. Okay. This is the alternative evaluation link. Here are... Okay, so if you are asking if makaka-review pa ba kayo sa lahat na nangyari in the past 2 weeks, ang lahat na lecture po natin dito or session are available at the YouTube channel of UP Cebu TLRC. So, look up nyo lang sa YouTube, UP Cebu TLRC, and then punta po kayo sa live stream na tab. Nandun po lahat ng proceedings natin. And of course, nandun rin lahat ng mga past proceedings natin sa UP Cebu TLRC webinar series. So, since 2021 pa yon, maraming learning episodes na nangyari. At pwede nyong i-review yung mga learning episodes na yun. Meron kaming coming from psychological first aid down to building resiliency. So, and then meron rin tayong mga research series alongside our statistics series, such as this Likert data analysis. So you can check it out there. Okay, you can view it there. So we love that you are viewing our videos all the time, or you are using it for your class or supplemental materials. Kasi naman, that's the main purpose of TLRC. We are bringing to you cost-free and borderless education and learning for everyone. Okay. Ang email address po ng TLRC ay lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph. So if you have a question regarding the activity or you wanted to answer the activities, then kindly make sure that you email us. Okay? I'm resending the link right now. Okay. So, if nagwa-wonder kayo, if you can still see my face over there way back 2021, haggard pa po ako noon. Haggard pa po akong host noon. So, ngayon lang po ako hindi haggard. Okay. So, salamat po sa parating tumatangkilik sa aming mga learning episodes dito sa UP Cebu TLRC. Kami po ay isang maliit lang na component ng UP system, pero gusto naming magbigay ng kaalaman sa lahat. Okay. Okay. Thank you po. Thank you. Sige po, ingat. I hope nakuha na po yung mga certificates. Ingat po sa lahat.
Bye everyone. Take care.
Bye. Take care po.
Thank you so much, Sir Jack, Sir Joseph, and Sir Rad for
Yes, I'd
problem.
like to thank you also. Thank you for staying with us throughout the webinar
Siyempre.
series.
Ang rami natin ngayon.
Thank you, Ms. Jera, for hosting. Such a really
Basta hosting lang,
You're the
akin
best.
na yan. Miss Noel, sorry. Yung
We
play
will
natin.
convince Sir Ian to volunteer.
Oh,
Oh.
di ba?
Because the natural extension of this, Ma'am Jer, is factor analysis and PCA. So, sige. Amo shake ko kayo.
Sige. Pero dapat nandito pa rin kayong
Of
tatlo.
course.
Yes.
Para may panel discussion pa rin tayo.
Yes. Sige. We'll convince him.
Mas maganda yung may panel discussion eh. Pero napaka-interactive mo ngayon, Sir Jack.
That's just me being a teacher.
And then nakikita natin yung level ng understanding ng ating mga attendees. So they are really listening, no? And getting through the webinar.
Dapat lang.
Okay. Noel, play
Mister.
natin. Play natin yung
Okay, sige.
Sige, kasi nakalimutan ko kanina. Yun pala yung next.
For those po na hindi pa na-receive yung certificates, maybe around, I'll try to send it mga next working day po. Mag-re-resend po kami ng certificates para sa mga hindi naka-receive. So, antay-antay lang po din tayo. Just make sure po na you have submitted your evaluation.
Okay. Sir Glenmark, the address should be lrc.up. Okay, so I will post in here. lrc.up.
So, there's no T po. LRC lang po.
up.edu.ph. So I'm very excited, Noel, for baka may next webinars na naman today.
Yes, we'll try na ma-convince yung ating prospects.
Kasi kailangan natin ng
Yes.
volunteer, yung talagang may heart na mag-serve. Okay.
Miss Jer, we would like pala to introduce. I think familiar ka niya. Our new family member, Miss Hazel de la Peña.
Oh, hi Miss Hazel!
Kailan ka niya?
Yes, of course. I know her. So, you are the new member of the LRC club.
Unmute, Miss.
Congratulations and welcome
Hi,
to the
Miss
club.
Jera.
Congratulations and welcome to the club. Ako ay club member pa rin kahit hindi na ako TLRC coordinator. Club member pa rin ako. So, go TLRC club.
Yeah.
Fans club to eh. Okay. By the way, for those who did not receive their certificates today or by 5 p.m. today, huwag niyong kalimutan, email lang sa lrc.upcebu@up.edu.ph. If ever hindi nyo pa or you did not get your certificates by 5 p.m. today.
Yes po, and kindly don't flood po ng email. Once is enough po, ma-receive po namin yun unless nag-bounce back po sa inyo yung email. So,
okay. Keep safe for everyone. For those who are done, thank you
thank
so
you
much.
very
Keep
much, Miss
safe
Jer.
po.
Manapad po.
Gimingaw na ko ni Paddy. Nara siya din sa Cebu. So, pangalan ni Ninya, say hi to LB. So, LB.
Albi.
LB na rin.
Kasi nasa Los Baños ako. So, yung nasa Cebu si Paddy yun eh. So, si Paddy at si LB. Pero, nandito si Chi at si Bruno kasama ko. Okay. So, marami na silang nakapag-evaluate. We still have 168. Nice.
Paspas ang evaluation na.
Yes, Karon. Last
last
week,
time
I
hinay
think
siya.
there was a problem with the link last week. So, medyo hinay to last week. But today, paspas siya.
Paspas siya.
LB is so happy today. Kay mamalit mi karon og milk ngadto sa UPLB. So, LB is happy today. Okay, na-receive na nila yung certificates. That's good, that's good. Thank you so much. Thank you so much also.
Sorry, remaining 155 po. Please evaluate na po. Limited time lang po open yung link. So,
Limited time only. Na-happy ko na si Miss Hazel lang na-add-in ha.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jera, I'm
I'm so
here na.
happy you're there.
he's back.
He's back. He's
Yeah, I'm
back
back.
talaga.
With a vengeance, madam.
Hindi naman. He's back with happiness. Di ba happy yung TLRC na ano? Iba kami dyan sa TLRC. Yan. Especially with Miss Nati. So, digid ka makuan, kibutan kaayo. Both si Noel o si Miss Nati.
Yeah.
Maka-happy na siya. As long as we're happy, you're happy. Oh, di ba? Ako gani, miss ka na wala na ako din ha, kay fans club gihapon ko. Ba? Fans club member pa rin ng TLRC. Dapat meron na tayong card for TLRC fans club. Thereby, I
Binding.
present
Ikaw ang
to you.
president sa fans club,
Oo.
Miss.
Pwede ra. Kaya ako may host per piece sa webinar. Ako may official host ng TLRC. Ako ang magiging mascot ng TLRC.
Host ng bayan.
Host ng bayan. Di ba? Pwede na ba ako mahimong mascot sa TLRC?
Yeah, tapos,
Guys, ating mga attendees, pwede na ba akong maging mascot ng TLRC? Is that good po ba? Okay. Oh, let's resend the link. Okay. Resending the link po. Sabi nila, okay na po. Okay akong maging mascot. I love you po. Diba? Kung pagiging mascot lang, ay maganda ako dyan.
the face of TLRC.
Oh, diba? I think 80% ata ng webinars natin, ako
Oo,
yung mukha.
Ikaw yung cover page. yung thumbnail. Ikaw thumbnail.
Nalaman ko lang yung nung sinearch ko yung pangalan ko. Then, ako yan ah. Ang raming videos na ako pala yung mukha. Pwede na ako maging mascot ng TLRC. Of course, TLRC will always be the best para sa akin. Mingaw na ko ninyo. I will be coming back over there on the 28th. So, bisitahan ta mo din.
Yay.
May
Uwi
April
na
1,
yan. Charot.
may April 1 exhibit me din ha, sa Hoyag Gallery. So,
Oh, wapil ka. Sige.
Yes, see ya.
happy. And then, kung makapalit ko bagong paintings, punoon na ako ng TLRC.
Bitaw. Ay, sorry.
Bitaw, miss. Punoon na ako ng TLRC, makapalit og bagong paintings. Or, ganahan mo painting? Nakoy bagong din.
From you, Miss Jera.
I got a new painting done yesterday.
Wow.
So, kung
Pwede
dito
niyo
siya,
i-donate sa TLRC.
pwede kayo. Ako naman di. Pwede kayo. I can send it over there. So, been doing a lot of art production over here also while studying.
Nice.
Okay.
Saan naman kami? Nawala man siya.
Kasi katawa kasi. So for the 110 participants, we'll give you 5 minutes to answer the evaluation. So before we close it officially, kindly evaluate na po. Thanks.
Kindly evaluate lang. Ayun.
Booming jud kay karon Miss Jera.
Dili ay.
Lagi. Like happy gyud ka sa imong student life.
Nindot kayo may mga student. Although unsahay maka-pressure
Yeah, I
ang
agree.
experiment. Maka-pressure ang experiment
Right,
sa bahay. Excited ko mo gawas karon kay mo palit ko gatas.
Magpagatas, di ay kanis.
Lactose intolerant pa unta ko, pero sige kung inom mo gatas din sa UPLB. Lahi ra gid dala ka sa UPLB ba agi-agi nimo kay makita nimo ang milk shop. Makasud jud kag
Ay,
palit.
a nice oy. Oh, I wish. Sa Cebu. Nado sa UP Cebu.
Okay. Ingat po sa lahat. For those who are done evaluating, ingat po. Always stay safe and healthy po. Himingaw ko ninyo din ha, miss. Like literal
Nagkuhan ko
himingaw.
be, picture ko.
Sige, miss.
Nato upat.
Ay,
Dili sa
mag-post.
kuan.
Mag-post na
Di
sa
man ta
Facebook.
kakuan, no? Di man ta.
Wala pa niya si Sir Joseph o si Sir Rod.
Uy, appeal mo dahan, Sir Joseph.
Alagi.
Open.
Kasi Sir Jack, wala na?
Oh,
Wala na,
di
Sir
ata
John.
si
Wala na siya.
Sige, ready?
Smile. Nag-picture ka, miss?
Mag-picture po ko, miss. Okay, ra. Okay.
Ako
Sir,
nag-picture ko, pero amot. Okay pa niya akong picture.
ready?
I
3,
think so.
2, 1, and smile.
Hi.
Yun. Gwapo.
Kikilig si Miss.
Miss Jera, kalpa.
Kaba na biya mo na ako. Dali na biya ako kiligon. Magwapa or magwapo. Kiligon din ko.
Ako ba Sir Dahandlo? Wala Sir Joseph o Sir Rod.
Dili ay. Okay na. Inanaw mo na ako kung mga bata pa nagsa. Kaya para ka lang makuan sila ba? Yan during examination like board quizzes. Kaya pa yan. Gwapo ka. Okay lang yan. So, tiyan ako kung mga bata ginana. Okay naman po sila.
Inspired.
Ma-inspired mo do best. Oh, pang-boost of confidence. Pero kaba ko confident na magula sa Sir Rad o Sir Joseph. Nahiram ni mga mathematics faculty na to. Di ba?
Ako'y maayog math. Miss, ay confidence ako.
Di ba? Confidence ka.
If maayog math, majoloks man, so.
Dili ra ba?
Kaba ka nga ng confidence sila Sir Rad o si Sir Joseph.
Ano man?
Kay taas mo ng confidence level.
Oh!
Ha? Ang sa to? Wako kadungog. Sorry, wako kadungog.
Miss Jera,